fantastic performance against Aston Villa at Dean Court yesterday. Um, I thought that the lineup was going to be the same, apart from Lloyd Kelly. Of course, Kirkes come in for him because of his injury. But I tell you what a performance! And I want to pay credit to some people that were as particularly good in that game. Let's start off with the midfield. And let's start off with Anton Semenyo, who has been absolutely excellent. Now, I remember when we spoke with Mark McAdam quite some time ago, it was a thing that, Anton Semenyo sometimes blew a little bit hot and cold for Bristol City. He's not showing any of that. And I think that is a full credit to Andoni Iraola. We'll come on to Iraola in a bit, but Anton Semenyo is looking dangerous. He's controlling the ball fantastically well up in the air. He's physical. He's a real presence. He's fast. He's dangerous. And of course, what a well taken goal. Um, I think Semenyo is outstanding, and what a signing this was by Richard Hughes and the club. A lot of criticism has been aimed at Richard Hughes, but I tell you what, he did get that right, and he keeps getting players like that right. And I tell you what, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic performance. Likewise, a man that had was living in his father's shadow, because at the end of the day, when you've got a father like Patrick Kluivert, it's always going to be very, very, very difficult to actually, well, live up to your reputation and your family name. Patrick Kluivert was an absolutely outstanding player. One of the most talented players you'll ever watch. And Justin, I think, has found it difficult at a couple of places he's gone to actually establish in himself and get his own identity. He's showing that at Bournemouth. And some of the dribbling, mazy runs really show why we actually, put that our money where, it- well, money where our mouth is, and paid the amount, because he is, to be honest, I think he's a player that is perfect for Andoni Iraola's style. And I don't know why we wasn't playing him so much at the start of the season, but it's really shown, since Aston Villa. I know there's been a couple of people that have said, well, Aston Villa weren't on their day. I tell you what, I think, Aston Villa looked very, very good themselves. I just think we kind of bashed them. It was a quality encounter. And, to compete with a side of that level after, well, let's say a month and a bit ago, when we got beat by Everton. And nobody can deny that was a terrible performance by the whole team that day. It was horrendous. The Wolves game wasn't particularly much better either. Probably a little bit better. Arsenal, you expect to be beaten by, but Everton, that performance was atrocious. And that was when Everton were probably on their backsides. I know they've picked up a little bit now, but they were on their backsides at that time. And really, we was part of it for kick-starting their season. Um, but Andoni Iraola, I said that I think we had to make the change. He got that win against Burnley, got a win against Newcastle, got that win against Sheffield United, and I tell you what, was so close to getting a win against Aston Villa, which really would have, put ourselves back on the map, given everybody so much confidence in Areola. I think he got the tactics spot on, and he's got the tactics spot on in the past couple of games. Maybe we did need to give him time, and maybe I was wrong, and to be honest, I'm absolutely delighted I was wrong, because he seems to have got the mix right. Ryan Christie, what a player! What a player he is under Andoni Iraola. Was he as good under Gary O'Neill? Probably not. Was he as good under Scott Parker? Again, probably not. But I tell you what, under Iriola, players are shining. They really are. And full credit to every single one. Because was there a player that had a poor game? I don't think so. Marcus Tavernier, absolutely excellent performance again. Again, he was honestly, his driving runs. To be honest, the only player that I think was disappointing when he come on, but he didn't have much time, is Phil Bill. And we'll come on to Phil Bill because I don't think that Phil Bill. This is going to sound horrible because Phil Bill's been a great servant for this football club, but I don't think he fits Andoni Iraola's style. I think Andoni Iraola was persisting with Phil Bill and trying to get him into this squad, trying to make sure that he was keeping his place. Of course, he played so well under Gary O'Neill. Under Iraola, I don't think he does. I don't think he does. I think, in that deeper role, not that more advanced role just behind Solanke, in a deeper role, he's not as effective. He's not as good. He looked a little bit lost yesterday. He looked a little bit disheartened. Um, of course, there was all that thing, on I don't even know what it was all about, but I think it was something to do with the current war, which is terrible at the moment, of course, in Israel and Palestine, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that is resolved as soon as possible. And you know what's happening in Gaza is horrendous. All that. You know, it's mindless killing of women and children, and it needs to stop. But um I think that his message was fair enough. If I hope he wouldn't be dropped because of that, because I think he actually said the right things in that message. From what I understand, you know. So, but moving back onto the football, I think he looks a little bit disheartened, and that's a real shame. Because he is a good player. He's a talented lad. I think he's a confidence player. I think when he lacks that confidence, I think you get half the field bill that you would normally. Um, so yeah, bit of a shame. Um, but I don't think he fits Iriola's style. And if he doesn't fit Iriola's style, and he's not going to get his game time here, is he best off moving elsewhere? Probably. Yeah, probably. Um, let's look at the back line. Neto has been outstanding. Since his cock up, let's say against Wolves, he's been outstanding. And again, he made a very very good save. In that first half, very very good save. So that's good. Senesi, confident, bringing it out. Zabania, probably young, probably a little bit inexperienced, probably, you could say a little bit naive at times, but every game that goes past, he's getting better and better and better. Kirkes, again, excellent going forward. And Smudge, wow, Smudge is Smudge. He does what he says on the tin, and sometimes you need that player. Do you know what? One thing that I did say, earlier on in the season is we haven't really got any natural leaders, and I do feel that that we haven't got those natural leaders. I think in Smithy we do. So I think fingers crossed he'll go from strength to strength as well. Um, you know, I think Dom was, again, excellent. Again, well taken goal. He's well, to be honest, he was unlucky. He was very, very unlucky when he slid in. In that first half, if he had made contact with Semenyo's, cross, I think he would have put it in the back of the net. And I think, um, yeah, such a shame, such a shame. But at the end of the day, and I tell you what was a bit of a shame was, the equaliser for Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins, It was the one time probably in that second half where a player didn't mark Watkins. He peeled away and the header was fantastic. Well, the header was sublime. I thought, I knew that Ollie Watkins was going to be a danger. I knew that he was going to get on that ball. I think Leon Bailey's goal was very, very good. You can't complain against any of the goals for Aston Villa. I think our goals were well taken as well. The VAR decision, and the referee. VAR is an effing joke. And I'll say that, on behalf of the Villa fans as well as our fans, I think it's an absolute joke because really, how long should it take? Really, a referee, and this is why the standard of refereeing has gone down in the Premier League because you think in the Championship, those referees have to make decisions. They have to make the calls. They have to go, right, okay, is that penalty or is that not? You've got potentially, 10,000 Millwall fans baying for your blood if you get it wrong. And hey ho, sometimes referees do. And I think that, that has been taken out of it. You can sometimes walk out of a game. You used to walk out of a game and go, referee got it wrong today. Or- but the referee's only human. Sometimes you will get some decisions for you. Sometimes you get it against you. You kind of evened itself out. When they're making mistakes, and I don't think the referee made a mistake with the VAR call. I think I said straight away as soon as it went in, I think that's offside, and I was right. To be honest, what it should have been is, if the referee or the lino had seen it and put the flag up and not go to any of this TV cameras, all that malark. But I thought straight away, and I said straight away to Max about that, and so it was. I think it's taken away the human element and the human mistake element. And I know that sounds weird but then again, we're making mistakes with VAR. The final call is being made by somebody in Soho Square. um they're drawing lines and it's taking forever and it's feeling a little bit like American football, which is stop start stop start stop start stop start. We don't like that in this country, and I think VAR, it's not going to go away, but it needs to be implemented a lot better. And I'll tell you how it will be implemented a lot better. Get rid of the shit at Soho Square. Get the referee to go over to the screen, watch it again on the screen. He can make his own markings. He's got a limit of a minute or 30 seconds to make that decision. If he's not made that decision in 30 seconds from the start of playing that video, then he's got to make his mind up on the spot from what he's seen. Um, that is the way to solve it. That's the way to solve it. So the buck go falls down to the referee, but it means the quality of refereeing should go up in the Premier League in the long run. At the moment, the quality of refereeing in the Premier League is shocking because they don't have to make their own decisions because of somebody in Soho Square making that for them. Um, that's just my part. I think the Championship, the refereeing is a lot better because they have to make their own calls. They have to decide themselves: is that a goal? Is that not? You could have thousands of fans, baying for your blood. Sunderland fans, Middlesbrough fans, Millwall fans, QPR fans. You could have all sorts of fans, baying for your blood if you get it wrong. So that's my view on that. But with regards to Iriola, I'm absolutely delighted for him. There was somebody even said you don't like him, you know, and that's furthest from the truth. I really do like Iriola. I like him as a man, and I'm absolutely delighted it is now coming together. Maybe I was a little bit quick for my criticism, but at the end of the day, after that game against Everton, I think a lot of people were like, "This isn't going to work. This isn't going to happen. This is a bit of a mess." We've been beaten by a side who are an absolute shower of shit. Put nicely, they weren't very good. They weren't very good that day. We were just worse. We were just worse. They have got better, as have we. And, that is the good thing, about football is we have improved. And sometimes those managerial decisions, will change things. It's like Sheffield United. If when Heckingbottom leaves, and Chris Wilder comes in, they could find themselves a whole different proposition. They could find it that Chris Wilder gets more out of them. They might not, but it might take some time to get them going. But at the same time, they've given themselves a chance of getting out of that problem. And that's what I feared that we was going to go down the route of, where, you get to a point in the season and you go, right, okay, that point in the season, we are 5, 6 points adrift of safety. We got to either make this call now and sack the manager, or we have to stick behind him, but know that if we get it wrong, relegation could happen. You know, let's be honest, it could go the other way. With Birmingham City and them sacking John Eustace and then bringing in Wayne Rooney, and his start at Birmingham City was terrible. So it can go completely the other way as well. Um, if anybody wants my opinion on that, what a fucking stupid decision that was. I'm sure even Aston Villa fans, as much as they might found that funny, would probably agree it's a ridiculous decision. Um, but I think Villa will be in and around those Champions League places. Will they get a Champions League place at the end of the season? They're definitely going to get Europa League place. They'll definitely get a Europa League place because they're good enough to get that. Um, Champions League, I think time will tell. They've got a lot of games coming up with the Conference League, and I'd love to see them in the Champions League. Aston Villa. Um, of course, they were a side that when I was growing up were a very, very top side. They finished runners up, in the first ever Premier League. So they are a very, very good side, and full credit to them. And Unai Emery, what a manager he is. What a manager he is. Um, he's just continued what he's done at Villarreal. And you've got the question now whether or not Arsenal were too quick to sack him. But we're doing a lot better. We're doing a lot better ourselves. And I think, keep playing like that, play like that every game. We are going to be well clear. We will be well clear. I think it's going to be a low points required to stay up this season. And I've got to be honest. The reason for that is I think Sheffield United at the moment just look like they're going through the motions. Um, you can't rule them out because if it might pick up under Chris Wilder. Um, Burnley, even though they won 5-0 against Sheffield United, they've not been particularly well. Maybe that will spark them in again. Don't know. You can't rule them out, but I think they will struggle as well. I think those two are in trouble, and I think Luton, as much as they have got heart, have they got the quality? Um, Out of the three promoted teams, have probably got the least quality, but they probably got the most heart. So, you know, who knows how that's going to go? But for us, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. Play like that week in, week out. We'll be absolutely okay. Um, Lewis Cook, one last mention as well. What a rock he's become. He's made that position his own. I think, this is an outstanding performance that we put out yesterday. To be honest, it's an outstanding performance, the week before as well against Sheffield United. A 3-1 win. I did say 3-0, but I kind of tried to forget that goal at the end. So, yeah, I tried to just phase it out. It's just like, And of course, the Newcastle win. You can only beat what's in front of you. Newcastle, lots of injuries, but hey, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can go to Selhurst Park. We've not got a very good record against Crystal Palace. No, know that. But this is a completely different side. And Crystal Palace, I think what we've got to keep an eye on is the Ezes, the Elises, the midfields. And I think, we've got to put their back line, and especially Mark Gui, under pressure. Mark Gui is fantastic player, but I think, we've got to keep attacking him, keep going um, at them, and, hopefully we can break through. Um, who knows? We might get our first win against Crystal Palace since I'm trying to think now. I'm trying to think. There's not been many. Um, Anybody who can remember the last one? Because I can't off the top of my head. I know we have beaten them. But put it in the comments. Save me searching for it because they are an absolute nightmare. They are our Achilles heel. They're the Preston of the Premier League for us, I would say, um, until Preston get promoted. And on that bombshell, I think we'll end it there. Thanks for joining us. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button, share it with all your friends, share it with all your colleagues, share it with everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for joining us.